June 6, 1944. Before dawn, the English Channel was alive with shadows. More than 5,000 ships cut through the dark water. 11,000 aircraft roared overhead. And inside hundreds of landing craft, young soldiers sat in silence, seasick, cold, and terrified. They were heading toward the coast of Nazi-occupied France. Many of them would not survive the day. This was D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in human history and the beginning of the end for Hitler's empire in Western Europe. By 1944, World War II had been raging for nearly 5 years. Nazi Germany controlled most of Europe. Allied forces had pushed back in North Africa and invaded Italy, but the real stronghold, Hitler's Fortress Europe, remained intact. The Soviet Union was fighting brutally on the Eastern Front, demanding that the Western Allies open a second front to relieve pressure. The solution was bold and incredibly risky: an invasion across the English Channel into northern France. It would be called Operation Overlord. If it failed, the war could drag on for years. If it succeeded, it would open the road to liberating Europe. But first, the Allies had to trick Hitler. Through fake radio traffic, inflatable tanks, dummy aircraft, and double agents, they created an entire phantom army in southeast England. The plan convinced German intelligence that the invasion would come at Pas-de-Calais, the narrowest point of the Channel, not Normandy. Even on D-Day itself, Hitler believed Normandy might be a diversion. That confusion would prove crucial. Hours before the beach landings, just after midnight, the invasion had already begun. More than 24,000 American, British, and Canadian paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines. Their mission? Capture bridges, destroy roads, and sow chaos among German defenses. But the night was cloudy. Anti-aircraft fire filled the sky, and many paratroopers were scattered miles from their drop zones. Small groups of soldiers found themselves alone in the dark countryside, fighting in unfamiliar terrain. Despite the confusion, they tied down German units and secured key routes. Their sacrifice would make the beach landings slightly less deadly, but only slightly. At first light, the Armada reached the coast. The invasion would hit 5 beaches, each with a code name: Utah and Omaha, American; Gold and Sword, British; Juno, Canadian. Naval guns thundered. Aircraft bombed the shoreline. Then the landing craft doors dropped. At Utah Beach, strong currents pushed troops off target, accidentally landing them in a less defended area. Casualties were lighter than expected. But at Omaha Beach, everything went wrong. Towering cliffs overlooked the sand. German machine gun nests were still intact. Underwater obstacles ripped open landing craft. Artillery shells exploded among the waves. As the ramps dropped, soldiers stepped into chest-deep water under withering fire. Many drowned under the weight of their gear before even reaching shore. Units were shattered, officers were killed, radios were lost. The invasion at Omaha teetered on the edge of failure. Small groups of soldiers, leaderless and scattered, began crawling up the bluffs, using craters for cover. Engineers blasted gaps through barbed wire. Destroyers sailed dangerously close to shore to fire point-blank at German positions. By sheer determination and enormous loss, the Allies slowly pushed inland. By day's end, Omaha was secured, but the sand was covered in the cost. Elsewhere, the fighting was still fierce but more coordinated. At Gold Beach, British troops captured key coastal villages. At Juno, Canadian forces pushed farther inland than any other Allied unit that day. At Sword, British soldiers linked up with airborne troops near Cannes, though German counterattacks were relentless. Across the beaches, engineers worked under fire to clear obstacles and build makeshift roads. Supplies, tanks, and reinforcements poured ashore. The invasion was holding. One of the most critical moments of D-Day happened far from the beaches. German commanders in France urgently requested permission to deploy armored divisions to crush the landings, but those divisions could only move with Hitler's direct approval. Hitler was asleep. His staff hesitated to wake him. By the time the order came hours later, Allied forces had already secured footholds. Air superiority made German movement in daylight deadly. The window to push the Allies back into the sea was closing. By nightfall on June 6th, over 156,000 Allied troops had landed in Normandy. Thousands were dead, wounded, or missing, but the beaches were in Allied hands. It was not a clean breakthrough. The fighting in Normandy would grind on for weeks through hedgerows, villages, and muddy fields. Yet D-Day achieved what many thought impossible, a permanent Allied foothold in Western Europe. D-Day did not end World War II in a single stroke, but it shattered Hitler's grip on Western Europe. Within weeks, Paris would be liberated. Within 11 months, Germany would surrender. The invasion forced Nazi Germany to fight a full-scale war on two fronts it could not sustain. It proved the power of Allied coordination, industrial strength, and human resolve. Most of all, it showed what ordinary people could endure in extraordinary moments. Teenagers, factory workers, farmers, students, thrown into history's largest seaborne assault. Today, the beaches of Normandy are quiet. Tourists walk where soldiers once ran through gunfire. White crosses stretch across military cemeteries, each marking a life cut short on that single day. D-Day was 24 hours of chaos, courage, and sacrifice, and it changed the course of the world forever.